Mark, thanks for talking with us. The film is terrific, and it's going to be part of our local shorts package, which is available for free to our audience for the duration of our festival. Um, thanks for talking with me today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to this. Yeah, I mean, I've just been trying to create new film work as a filmmaker, as an independent. Yeah, and it's just you just got to keep doing it, like keep putting out product. But hopefully I'm growing. I mean, it's hard to say because I can't look at it objectively as much as I'd like to.
Yeah.
So hopefully the audiences will, I could get some kind of feedback. But yeah, I mean, it's a positive though to be selected in a film festival like yours, especially in my region, my city of Waterloo. That means a lot to me. It really does. So thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Oh, absolutely. We hear it a lot from filmmakers that, it's a lot like throwing spaghetti against the wall. There are so many festivals, and you submit to as many of them as you can, and you hear no from so many of them, and those yeses are just so nice to hear. And we're always trying to say yes to as many as we can, and we'd show everybody that we could, but our festival can only be so long. So
That's the thing, right? I mean, I've been doing this probably about 7 years now, and my first short, I think it was too long, and I have to say I have to plead ignorance because I knew nothing about the festival circuit, and I just knew from talking to other filmmakers, indie filmmakers, that that's one strategy to take, and I took it. But what I was doing, I found out my strategy was totally wrong. I was doing like the top tier, the A list kind of festivals, and apparently I think they set the bar pretty high, and I think the quality, it might have been there, I don't know, but also I think my running time was too long. I mean, my first short was like close to 30 minutes, and
right.
I didn't realize that festival organizers and the programmers, they have to kind of block these screenings for certain hours, like a certain time. Like, I mean, a 1 hour block, they want to fit in as many as they can for shorts. And, if you're going to take up half of that with the 30-minute, so that's probably, I didn't really know what all the rejection was all about at first, but I've learned so much over the last, 6-7 years. So, I mean, I don't intentionally want to make my films shorter.
Yeah.
Because really I'm gearing up towards making a feature, because that's where the trajectory of my career is going anyways. But I realize in the short format that the shorter the better. I mean, I think under 15 minutes, and I think you've got a good chance. But obviously there's other qualities to it. Like, I mean, you've got to have a good, if it's a narrative, like mine are all narrative, it has to have a good story. And it comes down to, because I write my own scripts as well for my films. It comes down to the script, right? The quality is got to be on the page before it's on the stage, and if it's not, the audiences will know. Audiences are so smart these days. They'll know if even a short film, it might have a beginning, middle, and end, or it might have a hybrid of a different kind of a structure. But they'll know if it's something that really captures their attention or engages them, and that's what I'm trying to do with my shorts. But it's very challenging because you're limited with the time, right? And you can't develop the characters and the story as much as I'd like to.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where time is subjective, so you could create a 5-minute short that the audience feels is over too quickly, or you could create a 30-minute short that they're just so engrossed in, it feels like it's over like that. So it's, that's the fickle thing about art, right?
Totally. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this in your backyard programming. I was looking at the lineup, and it looks like I know some of the other fellow filmmakers. I haven't worked with any of them. But I know of their work. So it's exciting to see, their films also selected with mine in the same program.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that we're excited about in this program is that there are a few like teens and very young filmmakers, people who are just starting out. And this is your sixth film, is that correct?
it's actually it is, yeah, it is sixth. I had two others that I created within this year. So that'll add to
Right.
7 or 8. But yeah,
And
this
that's
is, yeah.
yeah. So with the knowledge that there are lots of young people out there who are interested in filmmaking, I've got two questions for you. How did you get into filmmaking? And you've already kind of touched on it. What do you learn as you make film to film that like improves your process? And what did you learn maybe on this film that you'll take with you on your next?
Yeah, so I started out, I don't like to toot my own horn here because I'm a pretty kind of low key kind of a guy and pretty humble and modest. But art, art in many forms has always been a part of my DNA, and it's always been growing up. I just knew from an early age. I started as a freehand drawing a lot. But after high school, the visual medium was just so engaging and so strong in the cinema, in my local cinema. And obviously, I'm heavily influenced. Obviously, here in North America, growing up, Hollywood has been
Right.
the go-to standard, right, for motion pictures, for narratives and fictional narratives. And I just knew that I had to get involved somehow. So I just applied. I applied to a Toronto film school and got accepted. And I just wanted to get to learn the basics of the skills required in making a film. And I did in a 3-year program. After that, I worked in the medium. I worked in the post-production side of of filmmaking on feature films on the indie scene in Toronto.
Nice.
And I learned the basics. Actually, that was great because actually that extended my training because it helped me to learn the structure of creating a film. And I just knew that there was just much more involved with it other than putting together something that's been captured in film and in camera with the actors, different locations. And that's when I got really interested in the writing aspect of it. So I'm a self-taught writer, a screenwriter, and I just had to put pen to paper and create my own stories. At least stories, first of all, that I could kind of relate to, but they weren't like personal stories in the sense that they came autobiographically from
Mm.
my life. I had to make them engaging for a mainstream audience because I'm always thinking about the audience, even though I am the audience too, but for a broader audience. So I had to kind of, pep it up a little bit with some the different devices that the film medium, you can use, but also the storylines. I just wanted to create stories that had a universal theme to it as well. Because anyways, I created these stories of my own shorts. Basically, they had running themes involved in it, and what they all had to do with misfits and outcasts and people that even actually disabled people. And I just had to use that as kind of as a catalyst to showcase how the less kind of fortunate people uh, can make it in this world. And I'm heavy on drama, so that's my go-to genre is
Mm.
drama. So I just felt that there was a unique story to be told from a different perspective that I could bring to it, not only as a writer but also as a director, because I just felt that I had to direct my own as well, my own scripts. And from there, I just learned making my own films with a non-union crew and cast, uh, and putting them all together in the course of 6 films. you kind of grow. But I had to grow in another aspect too. I had to grow my stories into something that was not so much commercial, but something that was really emotive. And once again, I'm always looking for that universal theme that people can relate to. And yeah, talking about the theme, like, I mean, I like to delve in characters that are lonely and loneliness
Mhm.
and feel isolated. So that's kind of a running kind of a character and a theme that I just love to explore. And I think I can bring just like a unique kind of perspective to that. And I try to. Anyways, it's always the human story to me. Like that's what really counts. It's not the flair and oh, I'm I don't like to boast because I'm making a film. I'm going to be like this big time Hollywood director or something. It's not that at all. To me, it's creating these stories, these dramatic stories that people can relate to and engage in and get involved in. But the empathy there as well. I want it to be so relatable to an audience watching it. So I have to write these lead characters, and I have to write them in with all that in mind. So I think I've seen over the course of 6 films the growth
Yeah.
within my characters and the empathy that they elicit to an audience. I hope so. I mean, we'll find out what
Yeah.
audiences think about
You
it.
mentioned writing characters who feel isolated, and of course we're in the middle of a pandemic, and isolation has been a prevalent theme. You made this movie during the pandemic. You mentioned you've made 2 more this year. What are the challenges that you faced in trying to make a film when we have previously unknown challenges in putting that sort of thing together? Filmmaking is very communal.
It is, yeah, and it's also collaborative too. So one aspect that I found challenging was just getting those like-minded collaborators to come on board um, to uh, to make my vision, put it on screen. I've been, I wouldn't call it luck. I've been kind of banging on the pavement, and I've been networking and trying to build community within the film industry. Uh, we're just not we're just a stone's throw away from the GTA, which is the hotspot, right, for films and filmmakers. There's a lot of creatives out there, definitely. So in the last 7 years, while creating these films, my films, I've actually built a body of creatives that I could kind of go to and I could call upon. So thankfully, I had like a great cinematographer and an editor, post-production. So those key creatives, I just had to make sure I had those key creatives with me, and the lead actors and actresses. One thing that I love to do with my films, especially my scripts, because they're pretty heavy on the dramatics, not too heavy laden with the dialogue, but I want to make sure I hire the right actors for the roles. And so I go through this exhaustive kind of audition period
Mhm.
with the actors. And I think it's really key because we actually go through a table read of my scripts, and through a Zoom session like this.
Yeah.
And we just want to make sure I have the right, for one thing, that I'm auditioning them on another level with the table read to make sure that they can deliver the lines in a way that I see it's fitting to the story, and then they can interpret it the way they want to, uniquely in their own acting style. So those are challenges that I love, but they, if you don't get the right people on board,
Yeah.
you see it. I mean, you see it in the end product. Thankfully, I've had some good people. I've got to say though, I'm not the best actor, and I put myself in a couple of my films. I've only done that because I was limited in those resources.
Right.
So, and also too in a monetary way as well, because there is compensation required
Yeah.
for these actors and these key creatives. And so when I don't have that um, I don't have that budget. I put myself in them, but I could do that because I've actually come from a stage background. I did some acting growing up
Mm.
in my high school years and my early college years. So I can draw from those characters, and I've written them, so I know them from the inside out.
Right.
So I can just draw from I can draw out of those characters the emotions that's required, or the psychological aspects of those characters that's required. But yeah, I mean, yeah, those were the challenges there. And but I have to say, going forward, I won't put myself in another film to act. I prefer to be behind the camera. I
Right.
love that. I love that aspect of seeing that creation in front of the camera with actors who are actually doing it professionally for a
Right.
living.
Excellent. I saw the note that this is, the subtitle is Revisited, and that it's kind of a revisitation, a reboot, a remake of a film that you had made previously.
That's
Why
right.
the revisitation?
It's the way I work, because as a filmmaker, I'm always I'm growing. Obviously, I'm constantly growing. Obviously, but so when I created the first one was just simply titled Replication. I made it in 2020, and it was like a 5-minute film, a 4-minute actually, and I had a great actress. I really did. And I put myself into like the lead male role that once again, because of budgetary restrictions or limitations. But from a director's point of view,
Mm.
was it was very poorly done. I mean, I'm my own worst critic when it comes to directing my own films, um, and it's very difficult being an actor and directing yourself in front of the camera, and producing it at the same time. So I was wearing too many hats.
Mm.
So when the film was finally done, that first one was finally done. I looked at it, and the vision wasn't there in the camera work I'm specifically talking about. And as a director, I see things visually through the camera, but it has to. There's so many aspects to it. There's got to be the movement of the camera, the composition, all of that. And I wasn't satisfied. And this is the way my brain works: is like after the fact, after a film is done, and I watched it multiple times. Actually, it actually reworks in my brain in a better way. Like I can formulate it, visualize it in my brain, and I just keep knocking myself crazy, saying, "Oh, I should have did this and I should have did that." But when you're on set, on the day of the shooting of it, you don't necessarily, especially if you're in front of the camera acting, you don't really have that moment of realization. Is like, oh,
Mm.
okay, we need to put the camera here. We need to make this kind of a movement with the camera. And so that's what I did with the revisited version of Replication. This is my director's cut, and this is the cut that I'm very, very happy with, because I uh, I really I really put the cinematographer to work, and he really did a good job with. He might not have understood it in a way. Maybe I didn't explain it to him, but you'll audiences will see with the movement of the camera, and I had it more fluid this time instead of it just being kind of locked off. And I'm hoping that with the angles that I've composed with the cinematographer, that it comes out um, a much more well-rounded kind of story. And it had to be longer, so
Mm.
I didn't limit myself in the time. So this was like a 9-minute compared to the 4-minute version. But this is the version that I really loved to do. I really initially wanted to do. I've got to improve myself as a filmmaker going forward too, because I've got to storyboard my scripts of my films prior to location shooting, just so that I don't have to come back on myself after the fact and saying, "Oh, it would have been a lot better doing it this way." But I don't know if a lot of directors second guess themselves like me, like that.
I think it's Michael Mann constantly recuts all of his movies. And like one of the reasons that he hasn't made a movie in whatever it is, 7 years, is because he just re-edits all of his movies over and over and over again, because he's never happy with how they turn out. There's always some, I can tweak this, I can use different coverage, I can put these scenes here instead of there and move them around, I can put new music under it. So I think you're in good company. Like sometimes art just doesn't, settle. It just lives in you. So
Yeah, that's right. That's encouraging to hear from a Hollywood director like Michael Mann, and he's made some great films. But yeah, I mean, as a director, the vision, you have the ultimate vision, and you have the total creative control. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the budget to reshoot, and so that I'm limited in that respect. So it's got to be done properly.
Yeah.
That time that you're on set. But thankfully, because we were in the pandemic, I had some time to reorganize and to reshoot and to rewrite it, because it was shot, I guess, in the fall of last year, while we were, I think, in the fourth, or I don't know what wave we were in at the time.
Right. The pause between wave 4 and 4.2.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I think that the result that you've got here is terrific, and we're certainly really happy to have it in the festival, and we're excited to show it to the audience. Mark, thank you so much for talking with me today, and we're really excited to take a look at it.
Thanks again, Michael. Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to watching the other films in the program this year.
No problem. Thank you.